be interviewing a very unique musician, a rockabilly ukulele player. I mean, how often do you run into one of those, right? When you listen to the music, it will definitely bring you back to the Sun Record days. Not familiar with Sun Records? Think Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash. They've all recorded there. During our conversation, he schooled me on the rockabilly scene as well as the psychobilly scene. I had no clue about either one of these, and I learned a lot and had a blast. Before we get into that interview, my name is Tim, and this is Discovering the Scene. Wait a minute. I remember what happened last time. Where are you at? Oh. Well, there you are. Are you going to behave this time? This guy over here. I work hard to bring you the best rock and metal bands that sound better in a garage than some pop stars do in $1 million studio. It's not too hard. And that's saying something. And if you could do us a solid and help us on our way to 200 subscribers, I know it gets a little old hearing about that, but it does help our channel grow and reach more audience members just like yourself. As well, it helps me reach out to more bands so you can hear a new band every week. Thank you so much. And that's enough about me. Let's go discover this great artist. And here we are back in the interview room with another special guest. This time we have a ukulele player. How often do you get one of those, right? We have to bring him in. And today we're talking to Damon Brazzell.
Hey, how's it going? Yes, I am Damon Brazzell. How you doing, man?
Doing very well, sir. And, as I said, it's not every day you get a ukulele player and a rockabilly player. So tell me about your, tell me about your style here, man.
Well, the whole thing started, I'll have to go back to 2000, I think 16 or so. I was still playing guitar at the time, and had this idea of doing rockabilly music, surf, stuff like that, but have all the songs be based off of horror B exploitation movies, which is my other love. And I wrote some songs, couldn't get together, picked up ukulele, which is a whole other story. And I kind of dropped it to the wayside. So I'm like, well, this will never work on ukulele. And then one day I got a gig, and it was a songwriting gig. And the person says, now we want you to mainly do original songs. Can you do that? I'm like, yeah, of course. Hang up the phone. I'm like, okay, I got a month. I got to start writing. So I started writing some songs, and I get up to perform, and I keep the time. I'm running out of time. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll pull this old song I wrote, Gutter Trash Charm, out. Just, fill some time. It's 3 chords. I remember the lyrics, and I played it, and it went rather well. And I was like, maybe I could do this on ukulele. And from then I started writing songs for it. I got together with one of your past guests, Spencer Ezell. He has a little record label in Nashville. And I just sent him my stuff, and he signed me. And then once that happened, I was like, okay, I better start getting some stuff together to do recording. And it just went from there.
What influences do you have on the ukulele?
It's really weird because when I started playing ukulele, there were these guys like Jake Shimabukuro, which he became famous for recording an instrumental ukulele version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps at the Strawberry Fields in Central Park. And I thought, well, he's taken this toy and turned it to something good. Then I started doing quote unquote research, and I discovered there were some great ukulele players from the beginning of the instrument. People like Roy Smeck, a guy named George Formby. And so that's kind of where my ukulele influences came from, were these great players. And I almost consider myself a ukulele evangelist. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I just want to show people it's more than just Tiny Tim.
Right. Because everybody thinks then you got Tiny Tim and Tiptoe Through the Tulips and stuff like that. And it's just,
and just for the record, I love Tiny Tim as a performer, but he's very divisive in the ukulele community, so to speak. I mean, someone once said, if you play ukulele and someone asks you to play Tiptoe Through the Tulips, that's like being a guitar player and being asked to play Freebird.
Right.
But I will say, getting past ukulele, most of my influences now are like rockabilly players and guitarists. I mean, like the Cramps are a huge influence, which is kind of obvious. Then groups like Stray Cats, practically anybody who's ever played with Sun Records. And as I started playing, it's funny, when I started doing this, I was not really deep into rockabilly, and I started digging in. I started discovering guys like Gene Vincent, and whose guitar player Cliff Gallup is just amazing. And there are all these guitar players from the 50s and 60s, Link Ray, Dwayne Eddy, people who today you probably wouldn't talk about, but they're like they're there, but they're kind of buried in history. And then there's other groups like the 5678s, who are like a garage surf band from Japan, who I absolutely adore. You probably know them from Kill Bill. They did that Woohoo song.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then if I had to pick someone who I'm really emulating now, a guy I discovered a few years ago, classic psychobilly guy, Reverend Horton Heat.
Okay, yeah.
Probably pretty close to what I'm trying to do right now with my music.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Now, speaking of all these bands that you're mentioning, do you feel that, rockabilly is more of a niche genre, or do you feel like it's making a comeback?
Well, I will say, since I live in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky, so I'm kind of separate from the scene. However, there is a scene, but I do think it's niche. I mean, it's hard to describe. Let's just say about 2 hours away from where I live in Nashville, they're having like a 3 day rockabilly festival at this place called East Side Bowl. So there are rockabilly bands, psychobilly bands. I mean, I didn't get to go, but the Meteors, who were like, classic psychobilly band, just played the Cobra in Nashville a week or so ago.
Mhm.
But so it is kind of a niche, although I will say I've discovered that in Europe, especially England, it is huge.
Really?
There is this really big rockabilly. I mean, it's an underground, but it's a big underground. And
Okay.
I've actually gotten my song "Gutter Trash Charm" played on a couple of like internet radio stations from England that focus on rockabilly and psychobilly. So,
Now, could you tell me the difference between those 2?
uh, well, rockabilly is the more classic, like you think of stuff like Sun Records, Carl Perkins. Psychobilly, kind of Reverend Horton Heap, and there's groups like Necromantics. Basically, psychobilly to me sounds like a bunch of punk rockers discovered rockabilly and horror movies and threw them all together. It's a lot harder, a lot faster. I mean, the Cramps are considered one of the original psychobilly bands, but for me, they're more garage rock almost.
Okay.
They're not as heavy. And then Reverend Horton Heat is considered psychobilly, although to me, like I said, the groups that sound like punk rockers who discovered rockabilly, he sounds like more like a rockabilly guy who discovered punk rock, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Okay, sure.
And I always
Absolutely.
consider my style is somewhere between rockabilly and psychobilly. It's not. I don't think it's crazy enough to be called psychobilly, but it's not normal enough to be called rockabilly.
Now, far as I like to mention challenges on this show a lot because I think it's good for others to see what others have to go through for like promoting their music or even like having a band or writing or whatever it may be. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have with this project?
Well, to be honest, it's actually getting gigs is difficult because I think, as the Fugees once said, too many MCs, not enough mics. And
Hmm.
I live in a small area, and and I want to say, if anybody from this area sees it, this is not to diss anybody, but it's a little cliquish. I mean, if you know certain people and they know the people who book the venues, and then they get the gigs. And again, it's also a business because I mean, you got someone with an acoustic guitar playing this, fun stuff or really emotional stuff. Then you got me with ukulele playing songs about sun demons and ladies of the night, and juvenile delinquents. It's not going to be really huge. And basically, but I mean, you don't pick that kind of music and think, hey, I'm going to conquer the world. You just pick it and hope someone's going to like it. So
Right.
that is hard. And then, of course, I play mostly solo. I want to get a band together, but again, finding people who are into this kind of music who are in the small area I'm in is kind of tough. I mean, I think if I lived in Nashville or Memphis or something like that, it might be a little easier, but that's not something I'm able to do.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing too, I would think this kind of music would be also popular around like college kids or something like that, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because a lot of the people who have heard it, they really like it. I mean, people have said, even without me mentioning it, "Oh man, it sounds like the Cramps," or then there's some rockabilly guys who like it. But again, with just one guy with the ukulele trying to fill up the sound, it's a little difficult, especially because on the ukulele you don't have you got the 4 strings that's more in the upper register, so trying to approximate a bass sound is a little difficult.
Hmm.
I mean, I am in talks with the guy who plays stand-up bass. That's funny is he's mainly a classical player, but he's told me he's going to try to get one of his basses set up for slap and try to work at it, because the thing is for the classical, I think they use metal strings, and he's just trying to slap on those would kill your fingers. So
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, I think the basses that were upright that I remember, they had the kind of the rubbery strings on it.
yeah, I think the originals were gut strings was what they would
Hmm.
use and stuff like that.
Yep. Hmm. Absolutely. They did a lot of quote unquote cat gut,
Oh yeah.
back in the day, but definitely that's a practice that's no longer, used because
Yeah.
synthetics.
I mean,
Save the
there's
kitties.
actually for the ukulele, there are some companies that sell, like I said, that synthetic gut strings is what they call them. It's just to get that
Right.
tone.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Cool. And you were mentioned earlier, you were talking about your songwriting and like you were able to write some stuff pretty quickly. So, what is songwriting like for you?
In all honesty, I have to quit trying for it to happen, because nothing ever happens when I sit down and go, okay, I'm going to write. It's like there's this one song I've been working on. It's taken me a while. It was basically written while I was sitting down with my ukulele watching Fear the Walking Dead. And I'm just fiddling a little bit with it and then come up with a riff like, okay, keep playing the riff over and over until I remember it. As soon as the show's over, I'm going to record it, write it down. And then lyrics just come out of the blue sometimes too. Like, I mean, Gutter Trash Charm, just to be honest, when I wrote it, I was working in a vet clinic. And I mean that literally. I was in the veterinary clinic, feeding dogs with index cards in my hand. If lyrics came to me, I'd whip them out and start writing them.
Hmm.
And when the song is a 1-4-5 song, in your head, it's really easy to write the lyrics and get a melody to it. So, like I said, some of the songs are written like that. Others like "Good Girls Don't Wear Cha-Cha Heels." I like was watching "Female Trouble" by John Waters, and the line "Nice girls don't wear cha-cha heels" comes up. I'm like, okay, take that, and I kind of just retold the movie in that song. And like I said, I don't think I have a real rhyme or reason. It just hopefully it comes, and if I have to sit down and force myself every now and then, I can. But
Hmm.
for mostly, it's just idea pops in my head at the most inopportune moment, and I got to keep it in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I've dealt with that before, especially if I was away from the house working. Luckily, I work from home now,
Mm.
but it's like working away from the house. If I'm walking through the hall or something, like I'm over here just kind of drum beat going on in my head, and I'm like, damn it, I got to remember that now. Luckily, we have the cell phones, and we can
Oh
put the
yeah,
voice recorder on there, and I can just kind of mouth out what I was thinking. So,
yeah. I
and
can't count the number of times back when I played guitar, I would like sing a riff into my phone.
yeah, yeah, and you're right. I mean, I'm kind of the same way. If I sat down to try to write something, nothing would happen. If I just got up there and fooled around, magic happened.
Exactly.
It's like, why can't these be opposite? I was kind of curious if you're playing the ukulele, who is playing the other tracks on your song?
Except for drums, it was all me.
Okay, very
The
good.
the guy who runs the studio near my town, in my town, his name is Shelby. It's a place called Loud and Clear Studios. Have to give them props. I mean, that man was incredible. I mean, basically, I'd come in. He said, "Play me the song." So I'd play the song on my ukulele. He had a pad and paper. He was writing notes, and then he'd go in and Gutter Trash Charm took a little bit longer. It was more intricate. But he'd play the drums. Everything else, I'm playing um, ukulele, guitar, and if you actually listen to the whole record, aside from the fuzz bass solo in Gutter Trash Charm and the bass in the song Kitty Johnson Blues, there's no bass. It's all guitar and ukulele,
Hmm.
which that was very much inspired by the Cramps' first 2 albums, because they didn't have a bass player in the beginning. They just had 2 guitar players, and I was just trying to get that really raw sound. Now I'm looking at getting a bass player, which may change the way some of these sound if I play them live, but it's also kind of an evolution of what I'm trying to do with my sound as well.
Very cool. And so far, what's your favorite song that you've written?
It's hard to say, because the funny thing is, there, like the song Zombie Lament on there was my least favorite song until uh, Shelby came in and helped me with the sound, added the drums, and I really can't pick one, to be honest. I mean, I think my favorite one to play is probably Redneck Mutant because I love the opening riff.
I
But
love the title.
but yeah, but in terms of songs that I actually like, it's hard to say. I will say this, and this may sound egotistical. This is the first album I think, or first music I've ever recorded that I think if somebody had handed me the CD and said, "Check this out," I probably would have really liked it. And that's not me trying to be egotistical. I just never thought. I mean, it sounded better than in my head, which has never happened before. And like I said, I'd say 80% of that is the engineer Shelby from Loud and Clear Studios.
Yeah, those some engineers can make or break you. I've had both.
Mm.
Yeah, especially if you get someone that's not interested in your sound, they're just there for the money.
Yeah, and well, the good thing was when I told him I was inspired by the Cramps, he was like, "Man, I'm an old punk rocker. I love the Cramps." So I'm like, "Okay, this could work."
Very cool. Heck yeah. Now we were talking about your ukulele and the register it's in. How's the thing tuned?
Um, well, the one I've got, most of them have a high G string, kind of like a banjo on the top.
Okay.
Well, the one I have is a low G string, which actually gives me a little better into the lower registers, but it's GCEA is what it is.
Is that open G if I'm
Oh
correct?
no, it's not open G. Actually, what you do if you put a capo on the fifth fret of a guitar, the
Mm-hmm.
bottom four strings, that would be the ukulele.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes
And
sense.
then they also make baritone ukuleles, which are actually would be like the bottom four strings of a guitar tuned normally, which I haven't gotten into that yet.
Okay.
I still consider myself discovering what I can do with just a regular ukulele.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Heck yeah. Yeah. I used to play banjo, and bluegrass is one of my things I enjoy. Even though I'm a metalhead, I think bluegrass is very similar because it's technical.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people won't think as bluegrass as being technical; they think it's hillbilly music, right? But try to pick up that banjo and try to play that stuff. It sounds 100,000 miles per hour on the
Yeah.
banjo, but it's actually just a picking style.
I mean, I know. I mean, like I said, I'm in Kentucky, and I'm actually probably I went maybe an hour or two from I think the birthplace of Bill Monroe, where they have the Bluegrass
Mm.
Museum. So yeah, it took. I was a metalhead as a kid, and I think it was about the time I heard Doc Watson play, which he was more of a country guy, but he was close to bluegrass, and I was like, okay, these guys are good.
Absolutely. Very cool. So, what kind of artists are you listening to currently?
In all honesty, it. I really don't listen a lot just to listen. It's mostly background music in the car. But right now, I'm currently listening to a Best of Sun Records compilation that my dad got me for Christmas. I mean, sometimes it's like when you're a musician, I feel like when I'm listening to music, it's more research than it is, you know, listening for enjoyment. I
Oh,
mean, I
yeah.
will say that recently there was a band. I mean, they've been around for probably at least 10 years now. But probably one of my favorite bands to come out recently was a band called Low Cut Connie. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I think I have. No.
Yeah, well, it's like mainly this one guy now with rotating musicians. But I heard them on NPR, and it was like I described them as the Sex Pistols meets Sun Records a little bit. I mean, their main guy is a piano player, and he's like, he's got a Jerry Lee vibe. And I actually saw them like three times before they actually got pretty big. And I've talked to the nicest people in the world, but that's probably one of the more recent bands I've discovered. But yeah, I'm a wide open when it comes to music I listen to. I mean, listen to music you listen to the music I play, and then you'd be surprised to learn like one of my favorite artists is Prince.
Ain't nothing
You
wrong
know,
with that. Prince is a good artist.
I mean, I love Prince. Some of my favorite guitar players, Nile Rodgers of Chic, Rage Against the Machine was a really big influence on me, and then like Sex Pistols and Ramones, I guess were very
Hmm.
big inspirations. And actually, funny enough, one of the bands that's still putting out records that I really like now is Body Count.
Body count. Okay.
I mean, I
Very
never
cool.
thought in 2024 or 2025 I'd be saying, yeah, Body Count's one of my favorite bands, but yeah, they just keep putting good stuff out.
Interesting. As far as like what you bring to a show, is it just your ukulele or do you bring other things?
Well, this is the funny part. When I come out, if you listened to the record, the EP, I have like an introduction where it's like, "Welcome to the drive-in." Well, I play that live, and then in between songs, I will play audio of movie trailers
Hmm.
that fit the song I'm playing, um, Gutter Trash Charm is the opener, so there's nothing for that. But like when I play Zombie Lament, I'll play a trailer from Night of the Living Dead. Um, the
Great movie.
song the song Redneck Mutant, I play a trailer for the movie Redneck Zombies, which is close enough.
Hmm.
And then for some covers, it gets really weird. Like I do the song Baby Let's Play House by Elvis Presley. I play the trailer to the movie House, 1986 with William Catt. And and then I have a little interlude where I sing my remake of Let's All Go to the Lobby. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of replicate, and this is something I've never experienced myself, but what the old time drive-in movies were like, where you'd have the intro and the trailers, and then the intermission, and then at the end I play like well, thank you for coming to the theater.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to. I mean, you got to have a gimmick,
Oh
in
yeah.
some ways. And also, so I forgot, I got some more made, but I pass out these little paper bags that basically say, when watching Damon Brazzell, take this bag, nausea and vomiting may occur, which they used to do. There were these horror movies called like Blood Feast that were super gory, and they would
Hmm.
pass out vomit bags, and also have this thing that says a little card that says this card is good for one free burial for anybody who dies of fright during Damon's show. And I put at the very bottom, not negotiable, just on the off chance something actually happens.
Right, right.
Which I mean, that's something that like William Castle did that, and he actually, the guy he did movies like House on Haunted Hill. He
Yeah.
did a movie called Macabre, and he actually got an actual um, insurance company, Lloyd's of London, to print out these certificates to pass out to people in the theater saying that they were insured up to $5,000 if they died of fright during the movie. It's just so I kind of look at myself in that tradition. I'm trying to just have fun and actually people may love it, people may hate it, but dang it, they're not going to forget it.
So, like, what do you feel is missing from today's version of rockabilly?
I mean, in all honesty, I don't know if there's anything missing because the thing is, I know that the people who are doing it have to be doing it out of sheer love for the music because I mean, it's not like it's not like there's going to be a big explosion, and if there is, it's going to be like the '90s when you'll remember that brief period I think between about the time Kurt Cobain died and the late 1999 where rock music had no clue what it was doing and the record
Hmm.
companies like one year it's ska and then one year it's swing and one year it's electronica and then
Hmm.
for some freaking reason we decided on new metal that I'll never figure out but sorry. No offense to new metal. That's a joke. But I think if rockabilly did pop up, it would be kind of like that. The only band that I think did neo rockabilly that kind of got really big, and even though they're still kind of niche, everybody still kind of loves them as the Stray Cats.
Hmm. Okay.
They in the '80s they were like huge for a little bit. But yeah, I don't think there's anything missing because everybody who's doing it is doing it because they love it, and every band brings their own little thing to it. I mean, if you're not used to it, it's all going to sound the same. But the more you listen, you're going to hear little differences in the bands. And they're all, like I said, as long as they're doing it because they love it, I don't think there's anything missing really.
Right, right. Yeah, I kind of grew up listening to the oldies channel and stuff like that, so I have a deep appreciation for all that music growing up, and just hearing like some of the classics come back alive. It's cool to have that nostalgia, and nostalgia can be a big thing to a lot of people, especially depending on where you're at too. But I do think that the style of music does bring back a little bit of nostalgia.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, when my family got it was like '88 or '89. When my family got their first CD player. One of the records we got was the Elvis Presley Sun Sessions, and to me, when I think of Elvis, I think of those early days before he signed to RCA. It was putting out stuff like Hound Dog and Heartbreak Hotel. For me, it's all about that's all right, Mama, and Baby, let's play house.
Indeed. Now, with your ukulele, one other thing I was going to ask you about, uh, how many frets does that thing have?
Uh, I would I'd have to look at it, but it's got a probably about I think 15 or 16. And once you get pretty high, there's no sustain whatsoever. So,
Right.
and that's the real challenge of it is you don't have as many strings as many frets as a guitar, so you have to kind of be creative and to keep it from sounding boring. And one thing I do, and I forgot to mention one artist that really influenced me. There's this ukulele player named Taimani Gardner. She is Hawaiian, but she does these really cool covers of stuff like Zeppelin, System of a Down. Also does traditional Hawaiian stuff, but she does surf. And I saw a video of her where she was teaching about picking, and she said, if you're going to try to do the speed tremolo picking, she said you either get an acrylic nail or you use a thumb pick, because if you try to use your nail, you're going to basically rip it up. And she inspired me to start using a thumb pick, which I'd never done before. And that makes it a lot easier to do rolls. And when I'm doing the lead parts, instead of using my fingers, I can use the pick or pick and roll. So yeah, that's sorry but that's like what I think makes me a little unique is I use a thumb pick and it really adds to the sound. And then of course I also yeah,
Somewhere to that?
the one I use it's Dunlop. It's a little thicker.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
use the Dunlop.
Everything that I use is Dunlop. This right here is a little thin one. I like the little small pick right there because it's easier for me to utilize that right there instead of the fat pick.
Yeah, I use the fatter ones. And the dangerous thing about that is I also play with my fingers and I do these rolls and I go back up and I can't count their times I have knocked that thing right off of my finger. I usually have a music stand with like a bunch of picks just lined up in a row, so that happens, just reach over and grab it.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, I was able to keep all of my picks on my hands, but
Yeah.
getting used to it. See, like for me in the banjo, I have the metal picks on my fingertips. 'Cause I didn't really like the plastic ones, and the whole reason
Yeah.
why is because they felt like they squeezed you to death. And at
Uh-huh.
least with the metal ones, you could flex them and get them to work. And those right there actually go, instead of looking like fingernails, they go the other way for people that don't know.
Oh yeah, and I see. I tried banjo for a little bit, and I could never get used to those. It was just weird. But the thing is, I actually went to school and studied classical guitar, so I'm used to playing with my fingernails.
Okay, very
And
cool.
at least on the ukulele, the strings are like nylonish, so it's kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and another thing I do is I actually, on the record, I actually played through some amps and used an actual delay pedal to get that 50s sound. Well, my setup now, I've actually got an amp that's got built-in reverb and tremolo, and then I've got this pedal I recently bought called a Mystery Brain, which is like delay, gain, and a boost. So I'm basically trying to make my ukulele sound as close as it can to that old 50s slapback because again, I mean, I think if you just listen to the stuff I did, people get really surprised to go, "Wait, that's a ukulele?"
Yeah, yeah. Like when I was listening to your stuff, I was just like, wow, that sounds really good to be a uke, because usually, as you said, you think ukulele is very, uh, not very sustaining instrument. It's just like very plicky 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 kind of stuff. But I, the more you learn, right?
Yep.
I'm enjoying it because of that reason right there. Because a whole style of music that I know nothing about, so I had to do a lot of research before I brought you on,
Mm.
and definitely impressive for sure.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, talking about your music, do you have like an album of stuff, or is it an EP? And how
Um,
many songs is on that EP or album?
it's a 6 song EP.
Hmm.
It's called I love long titles. It's called A Night at the Drive-In Exploitation Volume 1 is what it's
There you
called.
go. That
And
sounds good.
like I said, a friend, I never thought about it as a concept album, but a friend of mine said, you basically recorded a concept album about the drive-in, which again, that's something, I mean, I love going to the drive. We actually have a drive-in about 20 miles from my house, and
Hmm.
I just love going there. And I just wish that I had been alive during the heyday where they showed, a lot of the more B movies, because basically they would buy these movies for really cheap because let's face it, when people went to the drive in the 50s, they weren't going to see the movie.
Hmm. Yeah, true. They were smooching.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you had the I was listening to my father, he was always telling me about, stories that there was a security guard that would walk around and peck on your window with a flashlight if he couldn't count two heads or more. So
Hey,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, just what I love is the place recently down here got new owners, and they've started showing. Like, I went there and watched like Beetlejuice, and A Nightmare on Elm Street double feature, and they've showed Jaws there. Sometime in the next few months, they're showing The Evil Dead, so they're getting a little more classic drive-in, and then they still show just regular movies like second run. But yeah, I'll
Hmm.
say anybody here who has not been to a drive-in, is there if there's one in your area, go. It's a
Yeah.
blast.
Yeah, go. Yeah, there's one not too far away from where I live, and when I first got down here, I was like, "Really? Well, that's kind of cool." I don't really go to, theaters too much because I don't know, I just like it's hard for my ADD to, sit down and watch a whole movie all the way through. I'd rather be doing some music or,
Yeah,
on a computer playing a video game or something like that that could keep my attention.
yeah.
Because like normally I'm like squirrel. Yeah, man. So far as your album, you said you recorded at the studio that you mentioned. What was the studio name again?
It's called Loud and Clear Studios in Paducah, Kentucky.
And how long ago did you record that?
It was actually last year. Um, I can't remember. It was October, November, and yeah, it was October, November. Asked around, and everybody I knew said, "Well, this is the guy to go to," and so I just chose that. I mean, I'm not very savvy. I don't even have a really good setup at home. So like home recordings was just something that was not in, the cards, and I wanted to take it to an actual studio and just do it kind of the old way. I mean, as old as you can get. We recorded digitally. It wasn't analog, or it wasn't on tape or anything. So
Right. Well, another cool thing that you can do actually is you can do all your recording digitally and then bounce it down to tape to give it that old sound.
yeah. But like I said, I don't know what this guy did. I just walked in there and I just said, I'm looking for something that sounds like the Cramps meets Sun. He grabbed a couple of amp heads, grabbed a Dan Electro delay pedal, fiddled some knobs. And he said, play that. I played. And I always say it was like I was back in Sun Studios in 1954.
Very cool. You ever thought about releasing like a little LP record?
I would have to wait on that until I actually had enough of a fan following, because those are expensive to press, from what I understand.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stuck with like a bunch of vinyl just sitting in my house. You know,
Right.
I
Well, at
mean,
least one for yourself to say you did it, you know?
yeah, I mean, someday if I can save up enough money, I do plan on going to Memphis and at least recording one or two songs at Sun Studios, because they still do recordings there. It's like $200 an hour, which sounds a lot, but when I heard that, I'm like, really? That's all for Sun Studios?
Well, maybe we can turn Sun Studios on to you and get this fella down here to record in his dream studio.
Yeah, I
That'd be
mean, even
awesome.
if I just went there and record I mean, what I probably want to do is get a group together, practice till we know it left and right, get in there and try to just do two songs,
Yeah.
just to say I
Yeah.
did it.
Very cool. So tell me about this Gutter Trash Charm song.
Well, funny thing is, well, as I told you, I wrote it back when I was wanting to put together a band, with guitar, bass, drums, and I was going to call the band Gutter Trash.
Okay.
That was named after a movie by this filmmaker named Andy Milligan, who, if you've never heard of him, that's fine. He's only known in like very small circles.
Hmm.
And the movie's actually lost because the distributor hated the movies. And after Andy Milligan died, he like melted down all the prints to get silver from the nitrate. But I just took it from there. And the idea was I wanted to have like a song that was kind of a rally cry for the band. Kind of like how, again, Chic did this song called Chic Cheer, which was basically going chic, chic, chic. So at the end, when you have the gang vocals of people yelling "gutter trash," it was supposed to be the idea that the crowd would be screaming out the band's name. It was kind
Gotcha.
of lyrically, it just, I don't know. It was funny. I just wrote the lines, and the line is, floating through life in a chemical haze, like 42nd Street in the good old days, which was a callback to New York's 42nd Street, where they had all the grindhouses. And I just had to find a word that rhymed with arm, and it said, I got gutter trash, and the word charm popped up. I'm like, okay, I got it. And looking at it now, I mean, it was just, there was really no rhyme or reason to the lyrics. But looking back now, if you know anything about 42nd Street in New York, it used to be a grimy, dirty place. But they showed all these showed all these movies in the grindhouses. You of course, you also had the sex shops and the strip clubs. And
Oh, yeah.
then they cleaned it up, and you go there now, it's like the M&M store and all these Disney plays. And the closest thing to the old 42nd Street is probably the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. And
Hmm.
there's some people who will say, "Yeah, it's nice, it's clean, but it doesn't have the personality it used to have." You
Doesn't have the
know,
charm.
exactly. And so that's like it's like an ad hoc reasoning behind what the song's about. Really,
Gotcha.
it's kind of a meta. I mean, it's not what I thought when I wrote it, but hey, sometimes the author doesn't have anything to do with the meaning.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, sometimes you don't have to have, sense to the words. It just has to have words, because I mean,
Yeah.
listen to any of the 90s stuff. I mean, a lot of that stuff, I mean, it may have had some kind of meaning somewhere in there, but honestly, a lot of that stuff was just words on paper for people to sing along to.
Oh yeah, and I will say the song itself very much inspired by the Stray Cats. It's basically kind of my reworking of Rock This Town, if you really think about it.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, I guess now's a better time than any. Would you like to introduce the song?
Yeah, so everybody, this is the first single off my EP. This is called Gutter Trash Charm.
Good evening. Welcome to our drive-in theater. We have a great lineup of strange, unusual, possibly shocking entertainment, but it's all in good fun, if not good taste. Please remove the speaker from your pole and place it on your car window. Don't forget to remove it before you leave like some damn fool did last week. Our concession stand is open and ready to provide you with the cheapest, overpriced junk food in the area. Be on the lookout for children while pulling your car out. We don't need another incident like that again. Finally, be sure to shut off your headlights. Failure to comply with these rules will result in your ejection from the theater after a brutal crowbar beating administered by our friend Bruno. Now please sit back, relax, and enjoy the program we call Ukesploitation. Recommended for immature audiences only.
Well,
to trash talk. Go to trash talk. Go to trash talk. Go to trash talk. I may be sleazy, but Lord, I got good to trash. I may be easy, but Lord, I got good to trash. May be skeezy, Lord, I got good to trash. Go to trash talk.
Man, I listened to the song with you. It's a great track. Had a lot of fun listening to it. A lot of comedy in there. And yeah, dude, it's some great stuff.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And in terms of comedy, like I said, one of my other influences I mentioned, huge Weird Al Yankovic fan, and also love Alice Cooper. So
That's cool stuff, man. Probably that time of the episode, I like to do some fun questions to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So, what would be your dream venue to play?
if it was still open, probably CBGB's, but they're not open anymore. I don't want a big place. I just want something small, out of the way, where there's more intimacy with the band. CBGBs, or if there is an equivalent, I'd say something like that.
Very cool. Yeah. And in that same vein, what does the dream look like for you?
I'll be honest, to be able to make as much money doing this as I could working at McDonald's. I mean, I don't want to be a rich rock star. I would just love to be able to make this be all that I do, which in a way right now, music is all I do. I mean, I don't have a day job. I've got like some various other things. Like I actually teach ukulele and guitar at a music studio down the street in Murray. And crazy thing, I've actually got asked to play at a nursing home recently, and now I'm going to be playing there once a month. And my old music business teacher, I took some music business a little bit, said, hey, I had a friend who basically did that. So now I'm calling all the nursing homes in the area, and I'm basically playing that circuit. And the cool thing is, I can't do like the music that I'm writing, but they love 50s and 60s music. So in a sense, I'm doing the same type of stuff that I do.
Yeah.
It's
You're just
I'm playing
reinforcing
music
it.
I love, and I mean, I'm getting a little bit of money for it. But yeah, that's the big thing. I know it sounds kind of crass about money, but I just love to basically be able to make a living doing what I love.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that because everybody else is wanting to do the same thing. And for anybody that says they're not wanting to do music for the money, then they're in the wrong business. Because, I don't know about you, but I kind of like eating and I like having my house bill paid,
Oh, yeah.
100%. And do you have any? I think you said that you had some, like a cover song.
I mean, I haven't like recorded any, but
Okay.
But I play them in my shows because I've got 6 originals, so I got to kind of fill it out. And what I try to do is I try to pick songs that kind of fit what I do. Like there's a song by Gene Vincent called "Race with the Devil." So that's just the title alone kind of fits what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do Ricky Nelson's "Hello Mary Lou" because there was a movie called, the sequel to Prom Night was called "Hello Mary Lou." So I try to keep it in that vein, even if I'm doing covers.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And any special covers that you would like to do that you haven't?
Just whatever comes along. I mean, in all honesty, what I'm really trying to do now is I've kind of got it arranged. It's actually a surf version of the Twin Peaks theme.
Okay,
which
cool.
I really wanted to do.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Absolutely. And I guess for the final question for you is I usually like to end with advice. So you've lived quite some time doing this music, and what is some advice that you would give somebody that's wanting to do music that's like non-contemporary, like yourself? What advice would you give them to stay the course?
I think the best advice I think I ever got was actually not to me, but let's start over. Best advice I ever heard was, I had a guitar teacher, and he actually went to, I think, GIT in the 80s, And it was about the time that Steve Vai joined Whitesnake. There is a point to this. And Steve Vai apparently did a clinic, and some people asked him, "Why did you join Whitesnake? Why did you want to do that?" And apparently Steve said, "Music is a rough business, and sometimes you've got to do something that you wouldn't necessarily want to do so you can make money, and then you can do what you want to do." So my big advice is don't be afraid to sell out. I mean, if you're like a big metalcore guitar player, learn some country licks, learn how to play country, learn how to play pop music, because there could be a country band or a pop band that's really popular that all of a sudden loses a guitar player. You can get in on that, and maybe it's not going to be exactly what you love, but you're still playing music, you're getting paid money, and then you can take that money for studio time for your own work, more equipment, or just to pay your bills. So you can do that. Don't be afraid to branch out. Like I said, I'm going to be playing the nursing home circuit, hopefully, and that's not like my dream, but it's something that I can do, and I'm still playing music. So yeah, don't be afraid to branch out, get out of your comfort zone. And if you can, I didn't do this, but learn to play bass, because everybody plays guitar. Bass players are hard to find. If you play bass, you will be very, very wanted.
Yeah, very valuable for sure. Yeah, and not just not being a bass player, but finding somebody that is really good at bass.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. Man, that's solid advice. And as far as the nursing home circuit, I hope you get that. It's definitely a service to the elderly, and I appreciate that a lot. Very nice.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a long time. My wife was an activities director at a nursing home for a while, so I played there like once a month. Me played with my dad, and yeah, they love it. As long as you're playing the right music, they love it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, now this is your time to shine. Is there any final words, and where can they find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook at Damon Brazzell Ukulele Player, Instagram at 4 Strings and the Truth. I can't change it, unfortunately. And you can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you look. And if you go to the Avalon Street Records Bandcamp website, you can find the album there, and you can actually purchase it and have it forever. And that's pretty much where I am. I'm just hanging out.
Cool deal.
I wonder what a ukulele would sound like piped through a Metal Zone pedal. That might be kind of cool. I think experiments need to be done. For science purposes. Listening to the song Gutter Trash Charm definitely brought me back to when I was a kid. Listening to the oldies channel in my dad's car while heading to my grandparents' house for Sunday dinner. Now that's a great memory for me right there. The classics are always alive and well here in the old dome piece. Now if this song stirred up any good memories for you, tell me about them down in the comments below. I'd love to read about those. And if you found this video entertaining, please like and subscribe. With your support, we might actually get an Elvis impersonator on staff. I kind of hope not. Those guys are a little bit annoying. If I hear Blue Suede Shoes one more time, I'm definitely going to lose my mind. I think I would just settle for one of those switchblade combs, or how about this? A root beer float. Oh, a root beer float. Woo! Yeah. I'm gonna go get one of those. Man, I'm such a fat kid right now. But a fat kid with options.